I just got back from the old Rock House here in St. Louis. I went to see the Bumpin' Uglies, which if you don't listen to any kind of reggae or modern reggae, you wouldn't know who they are. It was a really fucking great show. I collect concert posters. Check this out. I don't know why I paid the extra to have them sign it. That doesn't really matter to me, but I did. It's too late. It's been a day of spending money. If you're new here, this is my day 2 of 30 recap of my month of living on the road, what I'm seeing, what I'm doing. I'm researching for a podcast called Highway to Hell. It's all travel and true crime. And right now I'm visiting different cities that I'm going to feature a famous true crime or paranormal story. And then I'm going to give travel recommendations. Today I got to sleep in a little bit. My morning personal training sessions canceled. And I got up, went and had coffee, and then I went to this park called Compton Hill Reservoir Park. And if the first thing your brain did was go straight out of Compton, you're my kind of person, I'll follow you back. We're people now. But they have this statue in the park called the Statue of the Naked Truth that I went to go find. This statue was dedicated to 3 St. Louis German-American journalists who they became statesmen, they became reformers. They were really pivotal in a lot of movement to modernize Missouri. This was actually dedicated 2 months before World War I started. I just found her name and her effigy to be really powerful, especially considering the climate of the times. And then what did I do? Oh yeah. I went back through the Grove because it was warmer today, so I wasn't freezing my tail off. And I was walking around the Grove and I was like, man, I'm on day 2. It's not like I've been on this trip for a long time. And I was like, I'm smiling and I'm happy and I was like, man, I hope I never grow out of being curious. One of my favorite memories of my dad, who was a really troubled person, but one of my favorite memories of my dad is he would take us to the skate park every Monday when I was growing up. And one day he sees someone skating backwards. And he's fast. My dad is 45 at this point. And he spends the rest of the night with his hand against the wall, skating backwards. And he learned how to do it. My dad could out roller skate anybody. And I was thinking about that today and I was like, man, I hope I never stop being curious. And when I thought about that, I was like, I want to get a tattoo of the word curious. I had just walked by a tattoo shop, so I went back and I got it. And after I went and got the tattoo, which my tattoo artist, I'm going to tag them in the podcast, but it was Tattoo on the Loo. My tattoo artist name was Bowser, which was amazing. That's actually his last name. They had a really cute little, I think I took a picture of it. I didn't, but they had this cute little Frenchie that was like the mascot of the, also when I do this, I didn't realize I have a filter on and my eyelash is on my hand. That's funny. Then I went to this place I had never heard of. So yesterday I met a guy who's here to run a 50K. 50. And he told me about this place called I'm going to pronounce it wrong. I had to go look it up because I wanted to make sure. It's called the Cahokia Mounds. And it's apparently the remnants of, I didn't know any of this. There's a very ancient civilization, like pre-Native American, who lived here in this region. They were literally called the Mississippians. That's hard. But instead of like Egyptians, they built dirt mounds. And there's a large mound called Monk's Mound. I'll show you a picture. So this is Monk's Mound. It's actually quite tall. I climbed to the top of it. But this is where their chieftain would have lived. And they had really advanced agricultural practices. They were very, very knowledgeable. And they believe that this civilization was really built starting around 800 AD, which I didn't know existed on North America. I mean, it makes sense. Like, obviously, they were people here. But this is some of the first things. So they had different mounds. This is for their chieftain. They had mounds that were for the temples. They had mounds that were for burial purposes only. They also had a wood hinge. So this is all, this is a replica, but this is all trees made in this kind of solar circle that falls in line with the equinoxes. And when the sun rises, it hits a certain tree in the center coming over the chieftain's hill. Like, it's very much like Stonehenge and the stone circles that you would find like on the Celtic Isles. And then on the Couchsurf app, I mentioned that I met someone who's here for a 50K race, which is funny because I used to run marathons. I never got into the ultra space. I have a lot of friends and one of my personal mentors who have run 50 milers, 100 milers. So if you've ever seen the documentary The Runner, about David Horton, who ran across the country from the Pacific to the Atlantic Ocean, that was my mentor, my running coach. And he's a really, really, truly inspiring creative human. I hadn't talked to anyone who's been part of that world in so long. But I met him, and there's like 300 people ready to run the race. So went to a restaurant that all of us had heard was like top notch. This is St. Louis. You have to go. And that was Broadway Oyster Bar, and it was so good. So what stood out to me, they have this appetizer called, they had a weird name for it, but it's cheesecake, but like cheese. So like Gouda, cream cheese, there's like crawfish and shrimp in there, and it's served with pita. I was really skeptical because I was like, ooh, that could be really gross. It was so good. And then I had the voodoo tacos, which were incredible, and went to the Bumping Uglies concert at the old Rock House, which was really great. I met some really cool people there. St. Louis has a shockingly cool artistic community, and it's not that I didn't expect that necessarily. I just didn't know that I was expecting that. It was a really great day. It was really good. The concert was great. I'm a big fan of the Bumping Uglies. I love that they just so happened to be here. Yeah, and then spent the rest of the day, kind of the breaks in between and the rest of the day, just researching Maury Travis. That's my serial killer that I'm focused on for the podcast. And so tune in next week. Next Tuesday is going to be my St. Louis episode. I hope you like it. I'm actually, there's 2 more spots that I'm stopping before I go back to Nashville tomorrow. So I have a show in Nashville tomorrow. I'm couch surfing with friends. Posting these a little early. So if you're watching these and you've been following them, I was going to release these like whenever I recorded them, but I'm going to release them the next day at like 8 p.m.-ish. I have a very sweet elderly lady who has been following me on Instagram, and she's like, I have to go to bed early. She's like, but I want to see these before I go to sleep. So I told her I would post them a little bit earlier. So if you're seeing this, I'm technically on day 3, but you're seeing the day 2 recap, but it's going to be the same. Yeah, stay tuned. It's only going to get better.